Hello, this is Real Talk Fine Talk. I am Shobo, and today's topic is depression revealed. So what is depression? According to the scientists, depression is an imbalanced chemical in the brain that causes you to be constantly sad and to be very unproductive. Well, I'll give you my own definition of depression based on over 20 years, in fact, of suffering with depression. Depression is a torment. It's your worst enemy. Depression is a negative force that is bent on destroying you. It's bent on stealing your joy. It's bent on destroying everything that means anything to you. And it's bent on killing you. That is what it is. With me, it started as a postnatal depression. With my daughter, when I gave birth to my daughter, I didn't know what depression was. I had no clue. All I knew was I was suffering in silence. I was constantly sad. I was very tearful. I was in pain, and I couldn't relate this to anyone because I didn't know what it was. And it took me over a year to find out what it was. And I remember vividly the day I found out what it was. It was on the internet. It was in 2001 when I found out. So how did I find it? I found out on the internet, and I read the symptoms, I read the causes, and that day was a day of liberation for me, because all of a sudden I had a name to what I was going through. I tried explaining to my husband, family and friends, but I never really could. But what it is with depression, you can look good. Like in my case, I looked good from the outside. In fact, I compared myself to an Apple MacBook computer that looked so beautiful on the outside, but inside I was broken. I was really broken. I didn't know how to live life. I didn't know how to take one day at a time. It was really a struggle for me. A lot of people around me didn't understand what was happening to me. Friends neglected me. Families, some even ridiculed me, and it was really hard because it wasn't something I chose for myself. That's what depression does. Depression is not respecter of persons, nor age, nor status, nor race. Its aim is just to destroy. So when I found that I got depression, I began to make sense of what was happening to me. I became isolated because the shame was just too much for me to bear. People didn't understand why I didn't want to associate with them, why I didn't want to go out with them. They didn't understand why I withdrew, and why I just didn't want to be seen. Because within me, I felt like, did I do something wrong? Is it something I did that caused me to be like this? I couldn't understand it. Now let me tell you something about depression. It is a killer, obviously. It's a silent killer. And when you see someone with depression, you just assume that, because their hands not broken, or their feet is not bent, you just assume that they're okay. But the truth of the matter is, inside they are broken. They are pained. They are ashamed. They don't understand why them. In my case, I didn't understand why me. It's like you're fighting this unseen battle that nobody else sees but you. And it takes every ounce of your strength to get through one day. The thought of tomorrow is too painful to bear. So you just go along one day at a time. It's very exhausting. It's a stealer of joy. In my case, what happened was as I began to go along, the first thing I understood was I was very exhausted. It was really hard bringing up my children. They were very young, and being a good wife to my husband. Everyday chore was a big issue for me. I would go for days not taking care of myself. To get out of bed was a struggle. It's like you just want to give up. That's the aim of depression. It wants you to give up. It wants you to surrender to it. It wants you to bow down to it. It's a mental health issue. But I'll just say to you, it's more than a mental health issue. From my experience, it is a negative force that surrounds you. It's a force that is bent on destroying you at all cost. And the first thing it does, it robs you of your joy, it robs you of your dignity, it robs you of your senses, it robs you of your confidence, and then it begins to rob you of the different areas of your life. It takes your peace away as well. It's like you're carrying this 10 kg bag of rice, literally carrying it, and no one is seeing it but you, and you carry it 24/7, non-stop. All you want to do is rest. All you want to do is for someone to understand what you're going through and not judge you. All you want to do is hide because the pain is just too much to describe. You literally feel pain in the inside and you want it out. You want to let it out as much as you can. And this is where addiction comes in. Addiction usually with people who suffer from depression doesn't just start immediately. It's usually like a form of escape, you know, to escape from the pain and the shame and what you're going through. You just need that momentary peace and joy. Very momentary, I must say. It lasts probably minutes, but you need it. You crave it so much because it's rare in your life. In my case, I began to drink. It started initially with prescribed medication. I got hooked on sleeping tablets because I wasn't sleeping. I suffered from insomnia. And then I began to drink towards the end, and because I just needed to forget the pain I was going through. Over 20 years of torment. I only survived depression just by the grace of God, honestly. For you to go through depression, my God, you are a fighter. You are such a strong person, because if you are not strong, you will not be able to survive depression in a couple of months. So for everyone out there who is going through depression, you are one strong fighter. You are one determined person, and you need to commend yourself for that. For me, my support was my faith, my family, my husband and our children. They never left me. Though I felt so broken inside, though I felt so chaotic inside, it was really hard. It truly was hard. So when you see people who say they're going through depression, it's very easy to label them. It's very easy to say, oh, that depressed person, oh, this depressed person. But really, you have no right to label them. They didn't ask for it. No one asked for it. Depression chose them. They didn't choose depression. Mental health issue, it's so vast, beyond any of our capability. Understanding it, it's so vast. So when you label someone as that depressed person, this depressed person, you're literally condemning them. It's like you're saying, oh, the lady with the cancer is a cancerous person. You're saying the one with a disability, or the disabled person. You don't do that. You don't label them. I'll tell you something though. You pray really hard that you never ever suffer depression. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. When it first started, I didn't know how to handle it. I wanted it to end. There were days I wanted to commit suicide. I just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't understand what my purpose was on the earth, and that really hurt me because I felt so unfulfilled. I was angry. A lot of people felt like, just get up and go, just get up and do it, just come on, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Oh, really? Shake it off? Oh. It's like you're fighting 1,000 army all by yourself. Every day is a struggle. Every day you're literally begging for someone to see the pain you're going through. So it's not something you could just shake off. If you could, you would. If you didn't, it's because you couldn't. I couldn't. For many years, I kept praying to God to help me. I only survived depression by the grace of God. So, depression literally, it means you are at war. And you are the soldier, and you got to be prepared. You got to have a resistant spirit. You got to make sure you fight for yourself, because no one else will be able to fight for you. They can support you all they can, but you have got to develop a resistant spirit, and that spirit is the spirit of a fighter, the spirit of a soldier, a spirit that doesn't give up. Fight depression. It is your enemy. It is your nemesis. You don't sit back when a thief comes into your house and allow the thief rob you. You don't do that. You fight. Somehow, somewhere you fight. It's the same with depression. You got to literally make up your mind to say, do you know what? I'm not going to let you, depression, destroy my life. I will give it all I have to fight you right back. It's not an easy thing. But everything that we do usually begins with a decision in our soul, in our spirit, in our mind. So you make a conscious decision to say, do you know what? Depression, you have killed so many people. You have destroyed so many marriages and relationships. You're destroying so many lives. I'm not going to be one of them. No, I'm not going to be one of them. I choose to live and not die. I choose to live and not just exist anymore. I choose to conquer depression. And as you develop that character, something will begin to happen in your life. Strength will rise up in you. And then you begin to take one day at a time. Depression is like you drinking a cup of tea without sugar in it. My gosh, it's an insipid tea. It's tasteless. When you suffer with depression, life literally feels like that. And you're trying to make sense of it. One thing though, I tell you, is that with depression, appreciation goes out of the window. In other words, no matter the gift you're given, even if you had all the wealth in the world, it will really mean nothing. It humbles you. Depression will humble you. Depression will make you see and realize what is important in your life and what is not. It will define you, but it's not who you are. It's just a process in your life. And when you're going through the process, you don't give up. You make sure you get to the end to see the finished product. Now, I just want to say to you, for everyone who has people in your midst who are depressed, you must understand that it's a painful thing in their life. It's a very sensitive thing in their life. It's a constant thing that never goes away. For them to rise up every day out of bed, they need to be commended. You can gently push them, but you can't shove them into what you want them to do. Understanding is a key word there. You know, I don't know if you've seen this program called, it's actually a book called Pilgrim's Progress, where Pilgrim had this huge sack of burden on his back, and he was walking, the Christian race. That is what depression is. Depression is a burden. Oh my gosh, it's a burden that is so heavy. you want to let it out. You just want, you crave every opportunity to just forget about it as much as you can, or just to unwind. I remember I began to shop. I began to buy clothes, shoes, bags, because of just that little momentary joy I got out of it. It usually didn't last long. I became a compulsive buyer, because every time I bought something new, that little joy, I craved it so much. It was really hard. The pressure of living was just too much. It's depression is inconsiderate. It's very inconsiderate. It doesn't care about you, who you are, what you are. It has one goal only, and that goal is to destroy you. You gotta be strong, guys. Believe me, depression is not for the weak. The weak wouldn't survive it a week. For you to have survived depression for months and years, my God, you were one tough cookie. Commend yourself, because it's there to demoralize you. It's there to exhaust you. It's there to steal the quality of your life. And yet you're saying, I refuse to give in to depression. So I commend you for that. Now I just want to talk briefly about, causes of depression. Depression can be caused by extreme disappointment. In other words, you're expecting something and you got something else in return that you didn't want. Depression can be caused by suppressed emotions. You're buried with a negative situation for too long, and it gets to a point you don't know how to get out of it. Also, depression can be caused by shame. When you feel ashamed of something in your life, and it's something you have not addressed, or you've chosen not to address, it can build up and cause depression as well. Also, depression can be caused by sickness. A person who's healed and has been healed for a long time, that can lead to depression as well. Unfulfillment. Oh my gosh, in my case, it was unfulfillment. I felt so unfulfilled. I felt like, wow, my mates are doing this, my friends are doing this. Oh, what am I doing with my life? It was really, really painful for me. It was really painful. And another thing that can cause isolation, depression is isolation. You don't want to be alone. No. There is a saying that the idle mind is the devil's workshop. You really don't want to be alone, because you don't want to be all in your head. You don't want to be thinking too much. You don't want to ponder too much about things that are not good, especially the negative stuff. Rejection too can cause depression. Depression that is not handled with the right attitude can cause depression. And another thing that can cause depression is trauma. Trauma can cause depression as well. Sudden trauma, the loss of loved ones, and you don't know how to deal with it. But in general, depression is usually as a result of suppressed negative emotions that has not been totally dealt with. That's why it's easy to see the psychiatrists and the mental health doctors, and they try to tell you, you got to go back to the past to address something that you left behind that you didn't have conclusion of. So literally, those are ways that one can get depressed. And also, I'm just thinking, the question is, what can you do for someone who's going through depression or mental health issue? Number one is, your support is vital. Your support is crucial. Your support is major. You got to support that person, especially if they are your loved ones. Help them. Do things for them that they cannot do. In my case, there were days I just couldn't get out of bed. My husband get me out of bed and take me to the shower. It was really hard initially. So your support is crucial. Then secondly, Do not judge them. Oh, do not. Do not judge someone going through depression. Remember I said do not label them as a depressed person. So I'd rather say someone encountering depression. Do not judge them. It's the least thing they need. It's the least thing they want. Your judgment is just literally like pouring salt on their wound. And it's not a good thing. Praise God. And another thing is, do not patronize them. Oh my gosh, I hate being patronized. Do not patronize them. They want truth. They want truth. They crave for truth. But you got to be gentle with the truth though. You don't want to be extremely brutal. But do not patronize them. Another thing you can do to help them is pray. Oh yes, pray. Pray for them. Pray for them. In my case, my family prayed for me non-stop. They prayed for me. They encouraged me. They never gave up on me. And lastly, your love. Make sure your love is truly unconditional. Love them in spite of themselves. Love them. Love is the greatest medicine they need. It really heals. Because when they're surrounded with people who love them, it gives them hope. It builds their character or strength in them to fight and not give up. It gives them something to live for. So your love is crucial. Now, what does the person suffering with depression not need? They don't need your judgment. Absolutely, they don't need your judgment. They don't need your pity. They don't need your discrimination. They don't need your impatience. They don't need that. They don't need your cynical comments. They don't need that. You just have to be there for them. When I went through depression, for me, I'll tell you, it was a time of defining, refining, and ordaining in my life, because I was able to know the people around me. I was able to know their intentions. I was able to know the ones who loved me and the ones who didn't. I was able to know the things that truly mattered in life, especially in my life. And it kind of helped me to filter a lot of rubbish from my life, because I became quite reserved when I saw the attitude of people and how some just want to be your friend when things are all right and good and you know you're partying, yeah, they like that. But then the minute you have a problem, they don't want to know you. They cut you off. So I was able to have a lot of meaning in my life, and I will always be grateful for that. I will always be grateful for the definition that I got in life out of depression. Praise God. So how do you fight depression? I tell you, number one, you've got to develop a resistant spirit. Now that resistant spirit is a spirit of the fighter. Fight. You do not fight to lose. You fight to win. Fight like I fought. I fought hard. I fought for the love of my husband. I fought for the love of my children. I fought for me, so that I would live and not die, so that I would stop existing and begin to live. So I fought really, really well. Number two, get out of bed. You've got to get out of bed. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. Because in your head and your spirit, you're thinking, what is there to live for? I'm tired. I'm literally tired, you know, because you just don't see the beauty of life anymore. But my advice to you is, choose to get out of bed. Choose to do the most little things, but just something rather than nothing. But choose to get out of bed. Number 3, surround yourself with people that are positive, not negative. You don't need negativity around you because you have enough going inside of you that you're trying to deal with. So surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through, who support you, who love you, not the ones who are quick to judge you. Join a support group. I say to you, join a support group. In my case, my church was a big help. My faith in God was a big help. Absolutely crucial. That kept me going. Join a group that will support you. Join a group that has other people who suffer from depression as well, because that will really encourage you. Just the thought of knowing that you're not by yourself, you're not the only one going through it, it's very comforting. It's very, very comforting being in the right place at the right time. And also, if you are a Christian, please go to church, pray to God, and just keep staying positive with the Word of God. Hold on to the Word of God. Also, another thing you could do is seek help from your doctor. Contact your doctor, and they would help. They will help you with whatever supports that they can. In my case, initially when it started, I began to see a psychiatrist, and we would talk for hours, and that was really, really good, because that way I was able to ascertain what the deep root or the cause of the issue is that really affected me in such a negative way. And number is it 5 or 6? Okay, be realistic. Be very realistic. Set goals, but be realistic with your goals. Make sure your goals are attainable. Make sure your goals are goals that will not put you under pressure. Goals that are short term rather than long term. Because when you're suffering with depression, you really, really struggle to see the future. You don't want to put yourself under immense pressure. So short term goals are very important. That way, when you attain a goal, you're able to set another, and it builds your confidence as well. Okay? Now, lastly, I want to say to you, commend yourself. All you guys out there going through depression, you don't give yourself enough credit. Do you know that if any other person that goes through depression, they're probably not able to survive, but you are surviving, and you are not commending yourself enough for that. I know it's hard, because when you're going through depression, it's very hard to see anything positive. It's very hard to see anything in a positive light. I mean, if you gave me gifts then when I was depressed, my God, I appreciated it. But deep down, I really just wanted joy. I really just wanted understanding. So material things for me wasn't it at all. And that's why today you see a lot of big stars and wealthy people going through depression, and their wealth is not able to save them, because depression is not respecter of who you are or what you are. It boils down to inside of you, what you are inside of you, and who you are inside of you. It's all about your inside account. So I just want to encourage you with these words, and I want to say to you, for those who are going through depression, you are not the depressed person. You're just a soldier fighting for your life, and depression is your enemy. Choose to fight, and fight hard. Surround yourself with people who will support you. Do not give up. No, do not give up. And for those of you who have people who are depressed in your midst, your family, please support them. Do not criticize them. You have no clue the battle that they fight every day. You have no clue the burden that they shoulder every day. Depression can affect anyone. At the workplace, at schools, at church, in the places of worship, in mosque. What I'm trying to say is, you got to understand that this thing is real, and there's so many people suffering in silence. It ought not to be this way. Find support, because depression is very progressive. If you leave it, it will rule you, and you don't want that. Take one day at a time. Find strength from within you. It's good that other people will support you, but truly the strength that you need, first and foremost, is the one that you've got to find in the inside of you. Thank you all for listening to me. Do visit my website, realtalkfinetalk.com. And until next time, God bless.